This is the Stay Healthy Experience. I'm Robert Ferguson, joined my co-host, Miss Barbara.
Hey.
BK, Kris, and the man all the way where Santa Claus lives, Mr. Daniel Baldwin.
Hey, Daniel.
And today is actually, I'm very excited about today because I believe that selling a house, buying a house can be one of the most joyful but yet stressful experiences anyone could find themselves, dealing with. And so I asked these two amazing professional ladies to come in and share with us insight about real estate.
Awesome.
About the home. And so we have Katie.
Hello.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
And we have Monique. Thank you for being here.
Yes, thanks.
And I didn't ask Monique, but are you a boxing fan? I know we started talking about it.
Not really, but I watch. I do watch the boxing ring sometimes, the competition. I do. Oscar De La Hoya, back in the day, that's when I began.
Yeah.
Okay. That's right.
Yeah.
East LA. I mean, Oscar De La Hoya, his story to me is amazing. And there's a part of it that no one really talks about it. And that is that his mom died, or he won the gold medal for his mom, who died, I believe, as a result of breast cancer.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I remember that.
Okay.
Yeah, very emotional moment. Did it for mom.
Oh.
And he went on to do extremely well.
I didn't
You
know
guys
that.
would have loved to have sold a house to Oscar De La Hoya, right?
Now, I gotta say, as you watch this on a monitor, it should be pointed out that Monique and Babs are not related, even though when you watch on the monitor, you might think so.
See,
That's so
he's saying that you
funny.
guys look like sisters.
Downstairs,
Yeah.
they were saying that.
They said that downstairs as well. Wow.
Well, I guess there's a lot of postmen running around.
I know. Who's our mailman? Mom?
And of course, Daniel, good pointing that out, Daniel. We appreciate that.
Thank you.
But seriously, so let's start with Monique. Tell us a little bit about yourself, some background, and then we'll move on to Katie, and then we'll open up for conversation.
Okay. Well, I've been in real estate for 16 years. Before that, I was in health specialist for a health education company, but they had me teaching classes to pregnant ladies, which I love being outdoors, which I realized I want to be around people, like being out versus inside. So I ended up getting into real estate at age 30, whatever, like 31. And I never looked back. I think with real estate, you can make such a difference in people's lives, hopefully on the positive side. First-time buyers, move-up buyers, but you feel like you're making an impact. And the beauty about real estate is not one client is the same. There's different personalities. It's never boring. It's exciting, and you can kind of like grow from even their experiences. So as a realtor, I've made friends with some people that are now like lifelong friends, and and you meet other realtors as well. And I've been friends with realtors for going on 20 years as well, because they're in the same industry. So I think with real estate, there's so much adventure. It's a lot of, it can be a little bit crazy at times because you don't know, if the deal's going to close or not. Sometimes you work for free. But I think if you really love it, you just get through it. And even the hard times back in the day, back in 2007, I mean, everything went really bad, but I just kept with it because it's really about, if you love what you do, you're going to excel. And you can't do it for the money. You really do it for the passion. And California, I mean, people keep moving down here, so it's constantly busy. I mean, I've been fortunate to have clients that still come back to me over and over, going on 10 years. And that to me is so humbling. I mean, I really appreciate that, the trust. And a realtor can only be as successful as long as their clients are happy and you do an amazing job for them. So I've been blessed enough to be in this business for a long time, thank God.
Would you say that the American dream is still alive as far as people wanting to have their first home? Oh,
absolutely. I mean, with the rent going, it's so expensive nowadays. I mean, you know the rent. I mean, rent keeps going higher, and then you have to live with neighbors that keep moving in and out. With your home, it's your own home, and sometimes a mortgage payment can be just as maybe $500 more than your rent, but it's so worth it because you own your home, and you can feel like it's more prideful. It's more integrity. You have your own home. Nobody can tell you what to do. They can't raise the rent on you. You have landlords, telling you what to do, what not to do. So the pride of ownership is so huge. I think in general, people still want to own their own home regardless.
Okay. Would you agree, Katie?
I would, yeah. I mean, I try not to focus on worst case scenario, but I tell my clients that are scared, I'm like, okay, worst case scenario, you know, you need to pay for your kid to go to college, or you get a divorce, or there's death in the family. You can sell your house.
Right.
You know, and then it's going to give you some financial freedom in doing that. So.
And how long have you been doing real estate?
So I've been in real estate for 7 years now. I got my degree in fashion merchandising, and I worked in the fashion district for a while. And then once I became a mom, I didn't want to work 40 hours a week anymore. So I sat down with myself and really thought about what I wanted to do. I wanted a job where I could work my own hours. I'll work 50, 60 hours a week, but I want to be able to do it on my own schedule so I can take my kids to school without somebody saying you were 4 minutes late to work today. I wanted to make enough money to support me and my family, and I wanted to wear what I wanted to work, honestly. I didn't want to wear a uniform. I didn't want somebody telling me what to wear to work. And I found that in real estate, and it's been really great. So I can't complain.
Hey, Daniel, Dan, you're the kind of guy. Have you ever played a real estate agent in a movie?
I have played a real estate person in a movie. Yes.
Oh.
See, I knew that. If you do 150 movies, you got to be a vampire at least once. You know what I mean?
He was just a car salesman too, right? Yeah, just recently.
Tell us about that, Daniel. Were you a car salesman?
I just did a car salesman. You know, I had an interesting perspective given to me, and this may not be the most popular amongst real estate agents, but there was a Bill of Rights sold to us by the United States government and the banking system hundreds of years ago that the American dream was to buy a home and to own a home. But in some ways, you have to question that because you inherit a responsibility and a payment of 30 years in order to own a home. And the question mathematically is that worth it? Is it worth it to do that?
Well, it's worth it if ultimately you can sell it, right? You guys both kind of touched on that.
So people are waiting longer and longer to buy houses. But say you buy your house when you're 30, then it's paid off when you're 60. You're in retirement. You don't have a house payment anymore. Like that's the goal, you know? So that's kind of where my parents are right now. They're like, we're not going to have a mortgage payment. We're good. So.
See, I like that. And it's also something you can leave for your kids, right?
Yeah,
true.
You can always, if you decide to, move somewhere else, you can rent out your home. You can rent it out to other people. So you're getting rental income. So it's better to have options than not. If you rent something and your life changes, you get married or you become an empty nester, yes, then you can leave. But with owning, you can leave and still rent out your home. So you have more options.
Right. Well, what is the face like? Like, what does a person look like today that is actually buying a house? And let me preface that by saying I did work in the state of Tennessee with food banks. And the people who would come and get food subsidized didn't look like who I thought I would see. I saw people driving up in a Lexus, a Mercedes, because when you hit hard times, you got the nice house, and you got the nice car,
right?
But you got to eat.
True.
And so, right?
Yeah.
So what does the face look like today of the people who are buying? Because I know in 2005, 2006, when people were buying homes like crazy, the face looked like everybody. Like I was meeting people coming out of a strawberry field. Oh yeah, I'm buying a house tomorrow.
You get I've gotten different clients where I've had clients where a doctor, he drives, a very economical car, and he's buying $1 million home. Their priorities are, it's not about cars, it's about a nice house. Then I have other clients that have Porsches and BMWs, and they're buying something more, something they can afford, maybe a condo or a townhome. So really, I really believe it's just a person's lifestyle. But for what I've seen lots of people spend a lot of money on cars, be, heavy in credit, debt, and they don't have the buying power that they wish they could have because they have all these toys or, then you have people who live very carefully, very, they don't save really well, and they don't drive the fancy cars, and they can afford up to $2 million, right? It's all about how they manage their, and I've seen it all. I think it's pretty impressive how people save, and, they don't have to have
priorities.
they don't have to have a, high income salary, but they sure can. They know how to make it happen, and I've seen it.
Right. I have to ask. I ask this of a lot of people or realtors when I come across them is, do you find that when people who live in California, are there a lot of people moving out and looking outside of California? Because I feel like there's a lot of my friends that I see on Facebook, when they move, they're moving out of
Yeah.
California.
We have seen that a lot. So a lot of Californians are moving to Idaho. Idaho's really popular. Colorado was really popular. a couple
Idaho.
years ago. Yeah.
Oh,
We like Idaho.
What about Syracuse?
Texas is.
Yeah.
Austin, Texas. A lot
you
of
can't believe
Californians.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I've heard that. And so like last year, actually around this time, I sold my house. And so, and it could have been extremely stressful. I worked with an agent, obviously, and she was great and really helped me through the process, because it actually was as a result of divorce. So we had the house after the divorce, but there was just some disagreement with what to do with the house. So it was just decided to sell it. So it could have been really stressful. But at the same time, I started thinking of, well, gosh, if I were to buy again, I don't know if I want to buy it in California. I want to look at other places if possible, you know?
Yeah, I've been fortunate to work with a lot of single women that buy houses, their first house, their second house, and that's really rewarding to me to see these women, you know, that can buy houses on their own. But the majority of my clients are definitely dual income, you know?
Yeah.
So you need those two incomes in California to be able to buy a comfortable home.
Yep.
And when it does just become one person, it's easier to move out of state because
Yeah.
you can afford it, you know?
But it is expensive. I mean, if you compare California to other states, I mean, you know, my parents bought a home back in the day in Cincinnati, Ohio, or Northern Kentucky, and they bought this mansion for like $350,000, and that mansion here would have been like $3 million, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Technically, so
Yeah.
I could see some people are leaving because they definitely want the American dream. They want that house, and
It's space.
it's really expensive. I mean, you're talking Southern California, up north as well, but I think
Yeah.
Southern California, man, especially Los Angeles, you know, in general, I mean, it's very expensive to buy
Right.
even a one-bedroom condo. And a lot of millennials, and you know, they graduate, they have their first job, and they're still living with parents because it's still expensive.
Right.
They can't move out yet, so it's expensive here. So yep, I can see how people are leaving to buy their.
So you do see that then, because even my brother, they live here in Ventura County, and he's retired, but his wife, my sister-in-law, is still working. But they're looking at, when she retires, they're looking at a state like
Yeah.
Kentucky, and they have family there. That's the reason why too.
and
But
go to Kentucky until the weather changes.
right, they come
Yeah.
back. But I mean, so it is. It's tempting
Yeah.
to look at these other places, and so just a good excuse to
You don't get
visit.
the weather.
I know.
True.
I think I'm in Southern California for the rest of my life. I
Yeah.
love it here.
It is nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, Daniel. Right now he's looking at the snow.
And he's like, "Screw you guys."
I'm doing the home calculator right now.
Right?
My house.
Are you really going to move out here, Daniel?
It's a possibility. It depends on. You got to shake Robert up a little bit to make stuff happen.
Well, we're working on it.
Yeah.
I hope that, or we're gonna go to Boise, Idaho.
Yeah.
I heard that's a great place too. I haven't seen it.
I
but-
love Boise.
Can't buy in either place. So I have a 4-acre property on 350 feet of lakefront,
Hey,
6-bedroom, 9-fireplace, 6,000 square foot home that I got all of the antiques, a John Deere Gator, a John Deere tractor, and 3 boats with for $250,000.
what?
Wow.
Right?
That's what it costs to buy my house.
That's crazy.
Wow.
And it's gorgeous.
Oh, I need to see that. I want to drive the tractor.
But the point that I was trying to make, so I just did a calculation on a home buying site, and to buy $1 million property here, it was a 30-year fixed mortgage. It was $1,967,000.40 you paid over 30 years to own $1 million home with $200,000 down. So you paid you actually paid $1,100,000 over the course of 30 years over the price of the house to borrow $800,000. Which again, I'm not questioning it. It is the American dream to own a home, but in some ways, in some income brackets, that amount of money that you're spending versus coming to you guys for your expertise into leasing a condo and saving $1.1 million over 30 years is a calculation you nowadays need to make.
Yeah.
That's totally true.
That's very interesting.
Yeah.
That is interesting.
What do you guys think about that?
Yeah.
Good job, Daniel.
I know. Look at that D money.
I mean, there's ways to like shrink the amortization on your mortgage. You can do like a bi-monthly payment that's going to cut it off by 7 years. I have a lot of people that just pay every other paycheck, which works out to be 13 mortgage payments a year instead of 12.
Yeah.
I mean, unfortunately, sometimes we have death of our parents or something happens in life where we're going to have a large amount of money that you could either invest in another property or help pay off your property. That amortization is scary though.
Yeah,
it is.
it's almost like if you could put a ton down, or just shoot, if you're lucky enough to pay in full, that would be the way to go.
It's a lot of money though. Who
Yeah.
can only save $200,000 though?
I know.
That's
Not
really
here.
hard to do. So,
Yeah.
Wow.
yeah.
So you guys have programs that can help people with this problem that can't afford that, don't you?
So I have the current people that I'm actually going to see them right after this. They're veterans. Well, they're actually active duty military. So they're using a VA loan, 0 down. Their mortgage payment's going to be less than rent.
Okay, so wait a minute.
crazy.
So you can do VA loans? So I have a VA loan.
Not me. I'm not a mortgage broker.
Well, I
but
mean,
can
but
send
you can guide me.
She can
through that.
connect you.
Yeah,
So I have a VA loan that I definitely want to use.
you should. Yeah,
Like
you should.
sooner than later. I used it, years ago, and then I sold that house. But I'm in a position to use it.
My parents bought something I found, and my stepdad's has a VA, and is Navy, and uses VA loan. And I kid you not, he spent $500 on the appraiser because he got a closing cost. It cost him $500 to buy his home in Corona.
Wow.
But the point is, it literally cost him $500 because the closing costs were covered.
Right.
So
That's
it's
great.
An amazing.
And I'm a
opportunity.
disabled vet.
Yeah, I mean, thank you for your service. Yeah.
Yeah, you didn't know that?
Disabled?
Yeah,
Really? No, I didn't know that.
that's right.
I didn't know.
And I'm telling the truth. Yes.
Viagra does not count, Rob.
I've only used it once. Only once, Daniel.
Oh my God, you guys.
when you let me borrow one. Remember that?
Oh, okay.
Ta-da, boom.
I know.
All right. So if there was one thing that everyone would benefit from knowing when they go to buy a house, because that would help cut down some stress, what would that be?
Oh, there's so many things to know.
Well, like one thing, because right now, we had a big scare with all the realtors getting people in trouble.
Oh.
And for years, I used to think realtors and lawyers were the worst profession in the world.
A lot of people do. Yeah.
Well, they still can. The buyers are able to look up on the DRE website to see if the actual person they're talking to is actually licensed.
Oh,
Because
wow.
realtors out there's some that are not even licensed. Some of them not even members of the real estate board association or the realtor. So the thing is, they can look everything up. And there's some people out there that try to sell and they're working under somebody else and they don't have licenses. So it's good for the buyers to look up their names and see if they actually have licenses. And that's one thing they can do to start. And they can also Google their name. There's so many websites now where the buyers can find out more about the person's reputation.
Well, that's interesting because it seems that most of the clients you get come from referrals.
Yeah.
So if someone came to me and said, hey, Barbara's a realtor, and that's my friend, I'm probably not going to check. You know what I mean? I'm not going to go and see if they're licensed.
That's how I found mine. I mean, word of mouth referral.
That's
I knew
true.
her.
That's
I knew
the
her
way
for
I
a
get
while.
the majority of my business. And also, I don't really want to be in empty houses with strangers. It's probably not the safest thing to do.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
So-
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, I think it goes beyond that. I think that the reason why it's such a referral-based business is because, let's face it, this is one of the most important things, and by far probably the most expensive and important purchase a family will make in their life. You have to trust this person.
Yep.
And so I think where you find people that excel, like our two guests, is because they are trusted by the first person who tells the second person and the third person that they have your best interest in mind. And that's where, when you start spending hundreds of thousands of dollars, you want to make sure that you trust that person. And that has to be the reason why they're successful.
Oh, I totally agree with that for
That
sure.
makes total sense.
Yeah.
You got another point there, Daniel. Good
It's
job.
like ding.
having that trust, your clients trust you. I mean, they're going to talk about you, and truly, I mean, your reputation is everything.
Oh, yeah.
And if you don't have that, I mean, that's it. You don't have a career in real estate. You got to have a good reputation, a good trust factor with your past clients, and you are basically you are your own referral basis. Meaning you really have to demonstrate who you are as a realtor, and then once you demonstrate that, it'll snowball.
Oh, for sure.
You know?
I agree. And this works the opposite end of the spectrum too, because Barbara and I never called anyone to ask about Robert before we started doing this.
Who'd you hook us up with?
Well, it was supposed to just be me, but somehow.
Yeah, we just came in.
You guys just worked your way in.
Get him, Babs.
That's right.
Hey, so Daniel, can you see the shirt that Barbara's wearing today?
How can you miss it?
No,
Cute.
it's got like that
Sparkle?
shiny,
Yes.
dark skin, something.
Dark and lovely.
Oh my goodness. Okay, let's get back to real estate.
All right.
Okay, so in buying a home, right, I brought up the question of what are some things it would be helpful to be aware of. When selling a home, what are some things that would be helpful for people to be aware of so they can maximize their experience?
I mean, the first conversation I have with my sellers is it's definitely getting to know them, but it's making them comfortable with other people being in and out of your house. You know, so I do talk about drugs. If you have drugs in the house, prescription or non-prescription, get them out.
Wow, you go right there.
Yeah, because people will steal them. Same with guns. I'm like, do you have any guns in the house? And sometimes people will laugh. And I'm like, no, like you need to tell me this because we can't have that kind of stuff in the house, you know? So.
Wow.
Yeah, getting people.
I never thought about that.
Yeah.
You know, that's a great point. But one of the things that we went over, and we spent a lot of time, which was great because our house sold for, above asking price, was just the curb appeal and the interior. And already the house was nice, but we spent so much time. I mean, in fact, she came and we had work days. We worked on the garden outside. We, rearranged the house, reset it, staged it.
Yeah.
And then we even had a video done for the house when it was put on the market.
Yep.
I mean, it
Yeah,
literally went in 24 hours.
It's a lot of work for sellers. I mean, it's making sure there's no breakfast dishes in the sink every day when you leave for work. Making sure all the beds are made, like all the laundry's tucked away.
And have dirty underwear in the bathroom.
Yeah, because
See, I do all that anyway.
Yeah.
people are gone. You're gone all day at work, and then your agent's gonna text you, "Hey, Robert wants to see your house today at 1." And
Yeah, and
you're
like it's got to be ready to go.
Yeah, I'm at work. That's fine. You can come on in, but it has to be ready.
I think one of the things that I did in the sale of my last home that I had not done before, and take us through this, is qualifying the loan, the buyer first. That really weeded it down to where I wasn't just constantly having people come in. They had to have the money approved that they had be able to get that loan before they came in my door.
Yep,
That's true.
So a lot of realtors, they don't want to take out buyers. They don't even know if they're qualified or not because they're the ones, they do a lot of the work and legwork, and they're looking at the properties. They're spending gas money and time. So 99% of the time, they're all trained and they're encouraged to make sure the buyers are qualified through their in-house lender or another lender, and they're usually good to go. Now, if a realtor's out there showing properties to a buyer that doesn't know if they're qualified or not, it's unfortunate because you could waste the buyer's time and your own time.
Right, everyone's
because
time.
They may not qualify with that amount of home price. So yes, I agree with you. They need to be 100% approved. They should be. But I think a lot of realtors by now, they won't waste their time showing properties to a buyer they're not sure if they're qualified or not.
Well, okay, so in the world that we live in right now, you have a lot of people that don't look like they have the money that they have. Sometimes they're dressed down. And Daniel and I, he's introduced me to a couple of his friends that are billionaires.
Yeah.
And if they walked in here, there's no way you could assume they have much money at all.
Based on what they look like on the
And then you have the Kanye West lookalikes, right? That are walking around with the the shoes, and they got the best car, they drive up. So I'm sure as a realtor, you must have found yourself at one time or another fall prey to someone who looked the part, and then you go down this road and find out they don't qualify for anything.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure I have. Yeah, for sure. I mean, like I said, I've had buyers walk in, everything looks beautiful, nice car, everything. They talk a lot about they have this, they have that. And then when I force them to get pre-approved, it's not that.
Like how short-sighted of them. It seems like so odd that they would think that they could get past that,
I think that sometimes people believe what they believe. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
they just like
we know
I'm going to will it into reality.
No, think about someone you and I both know that comes here all the time, doesn't let me know he's coming, he just shows up. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
So he's got the car. He's got everything looks the part. I mean, but then you pull back the layers and it's not what you thought it was.
Oh yeah.
Interesting.
And we see that. I mean, we see that in our industry too. We see realtors that are really flashy, and they have the cars and they have the purses and all this stuff, and they don't own their own home.
Yeah.
So it's like if you worked at Toyota and you drive a Honda. It's like, wait, no, you're selling a product.
What are you doing?
To me, but you didn't even do it yourself.
Yourself?
So,
See, that's hilarious what you just said. Because, okay, so one of the things that I've always found appealing about realtors is that they come across very slick, very like polished. Like they got it going on. You know, it's like the only profession where you get their business card and there's always a good looking photo of the realtor, right?
Of course.
I mean, think about
but
if
it's
doctors
got to.
did that.
I say that all the time.
You know what I mean? Like,
They're
think
all-
about like doctors, lawyers, they don't have a big photo of themselves, but realtors are like, what do you think that is, Daniel? Like, what are they trying to hide, or like, what's going on?
Oh, no.
You know, an image is an image, you know, and then they say it can replace 1,000 words. I believe that when it comes to almost any business, but certainly a realtor would fall into this category. The proof is at the pump. Tell them that, you know, give them the description. The key to being very successful in real estate that I've learned is how good of a listener are they? If they're going to try to sell me something because they have the, you know, both sides of it. They're the selling and buying agent, and they're not listening to what I want. But if I tell them the price range, square footage, blah, and you look at the first two houses they show you to know whether it's, if they bring me into houses that may not necessarily work out, but they were in my description, they were listening to me. And if they're not hearing me, but listening to me, I think that is the art of being a successful realtor. Not the car, but do they have the ability to listen, eliminate things that I'm sure they'd like to sell, but really finite that search to the things that are going to make the most important person happy, my wife. Because if the mommy likes the house, there's a good chance they're going to sell it. A good realtor knows that.
Yeah.
That comes from
Okay,
That's so true.
is he's accurate then?
That's
Yeah.
true. The
Everyone's-
wife, she's the CEO. Sorry, Daniel. She is the one that runs and decides.
Makes
I
or
want this
breaks
house,
it.
and that's it.
Amen.
Okay,
But no,
so-
I do agree with that point that he did talk about the listening ability to make sure you're connecting with the client. Because I know, because I worked with a different client when I bought the house, when we bought the house, and he was a great agent. But the agent that I used to sell, you know, obviously she was different. But that was one thing I loved about her, is just how much she listened and how well she wanted to. I mean, for her gain too, to put the house on the market and make it look its best, because it's kind of hard too. If you've been in a house for a long time and you're going to sell it, it's like you want to make sure, one, that looks great, but then two, whoever we end up choosing to buy is going to do the same thing with the house. It's going to take care of
And
it
it
and all
also
that.
works, I think, vice versa too. When the sellers are listening to the realtors advise them.
Yes.
You know, like I had a condo that is a beautiful condo, and I had a lot of showings. When I first got the condo, the listing, it was a little dark, and there was not a lot of light going on. So I said, can you just paint the walls and let's do this, you know, whatever. They painted the walls, and I promise you, we got offers within 2 weeks.
Heck yeah.
Light is everything. Walking in, they don't want anything too dark. People want light and bright, and painting even makes a difference.
Oh, we were doing a lot of that.
The sellers were willing to do that, and they were willing to work with the advice. So I think it's good to both listen to each other's
For
needs
sure.
and wants. So it's good.
Yeah.
I mean, you get to, during the process, whether it's buying or selling, you get to know these people really well. I mean, I was showing the same couple last night houses after work, and then I'm going to meet with them later today, and, you know, their kids are there. So I know what they do for work.
Yeah.
Like, you know, we met up for drinks after looking at houses last night because it was a stressful process.
Yeah.
So you get to know people, and you learn if their in-laws are going to move in with them because they're aging,
Right.
or if their kids are going to go away to college, or if their kids are going to move back in. That's not the kind of thing that people just divulge in your first meeting, but spending time together, you do hear that, and that's
Right.
how you get the needs and wants, you know, more toned in.
Okay, so I pick up that you two are both great listeners. So if someone reaches out to you, they can expect to get that type of service, right?
Oh, yeah.
Of course. Yeah.
Concierge. You know,
Okay, I like that.
Ooh.
But the thing is, too, as long as the sellers agree with the realtors what price you're going to list it at, because I'll tell you right now, there's a lot of, you know, the sellers think that their home is worth this, and in reality, it's worth that, or, you know, and that's the only thing, that sometimes homes are overpriced, and the appraisal didn't come in at that price, and then before you know it, you know, there's a disagreement. So it really is a lot of negotiating and working with each other, and the sellers, you know, being able to be open-minded. I mean, of course, we want our homes to be worth $20,000 more, $50,000 more than you know, than the other home that just sold next door.
Right.
You know, our home is the best one on the block.
Of
right?
course.
So it's really a lot of it's compromising too with realtors and sellers.
And as a realtor, you become almost like a psychologist, right? As you're working with these people. So here's the question that I have, and the question is, listening to Barbara talk about selling her house, people, when they're going to sell their home, it seems like they go the extra mile to get their home to look like the home they wish they had lived in.
I do notice that. And I
You
wonder
follow
about
me on that?
Yeah.
It's like their house is dark, but then they meet you and they're going to sell it. Let's lighten it up.
It's interesting.
Yeah, or let's change the carpet and redo the bathrooms before we sell. It's like, why wouldn't you want to enjoy that
When you were there.
Right.
True. So it's interesting.
Yeah.
I think about that too. Why people do that.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
like that. We need to keep bringing that up because it says a lot about the life that we're not living, that we could be living based on our current situation.
That's very
Right.
true.
And the little tweaks. Yeah, I'm like,
I could be a realtor. I think I could.
I think you could.
I like the life. You know, you have a photo on your business card.
so that's all you want to do it for.
You go to a lot of mixers
Just
and
like
you drink.
that.
You drink a lot, right?
It's like, but you didn't
Have a
sell a
bad
damn
rap.
house.
Or at least they look like they're having fun.
Yeah.
I mean, a realtor, like they look like it is a fun life.
It's
I
very
have a question.
Yes.
Daniel has a question.
I have a question. So, knowing that really, you know, in most cases where it's a husband and wife or a couple, being women and knowing that ultimately that decision is more, I believe, I agree with you, influenced by the woman. Is it to your advantage being females in this business?
I think it is. I think we're much more nurturing. We try to, you know, I think we are better, no offense, listeners.
Yep. Just kidding.
And
I'm teasing.
personable sometimes. I mean, there's a lot of great realtors out there that are men, but I think that the women do have some kind of advantage of being more feminine and, of course, nurturing, that we are more personable in some cases. And some women buyers out there, or even sellers, they feel very comfortable working with a female realtor more so than a male realtor. So I agree with you, Daniel. Yes, it's a.
See, you know where my mind went when Daniel brought that up? My mind went to the woman who's a realtor that when she's walking up to the house to meet the potential client, when it's a man, that she wears a shirt that's a little bit more revealing.
What?
And that's where I was gonna go with it. You know, is I was with one of my male counterparts, and he was like, "Yeah, it's so much easier for you as a woman selling houses." And I feel like a lot of clients assume that men are going to be a little tougher and like better negotiators. They're going to get them a better deal because we are softer. You know,
Ah, right.
So I deal with that sometimes. Like, you know, my alpha female comes out and I have to go toe to toe, and I'm like, no, I'm going to do that with the other agent. I'm not going to do that to my client, but I have to make that clear. And then same too when it's a married couple, it's always challenging. You know, it's just one woman going in, and you want to make sure you talk to the wife and, you know, include the wife on group text. So it's not, so the situation doesn't get awkward.
Oh, that can it can get awkward. I can see
I
it.
learned real quick in the business, I don't show houses in dresses because sometimes you're bending over to unlock the door, you know.
Right.
All those little things. Or you walk up the stairs first. Like, I learned to not walk up the stairs first, like let them go first. Just little situations like that.
Wow, I can see deals.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Daniel.
I was relating it more to, you know, there are certain unsaid things in life. If you're out with another couple, let's say, and you don't know the other couple well, and within minutes, the boys are going, well, yeah, you know, the Yankees, well, yeah, work is, and the women are immediately locked eye to eye when they click, and they're going, well, let me tell you something. If he does one, he can get real personal, because women have their own language.
Yes.
You know, men are from Mars, women are from Venus, and women know that. It's a wavelength that's different. I would think that being a female in this business is more to your advantage than being a male. I would, for that reason, that women just have a different vibration than men do.
Yeah.
Well, haven't you ran into situations where you have a husband and wife, and both of you are attractive women, and the wife blocks the potential of the deal because her husband is paying a little bit extra attention to you? What's so funny about that? That's a good question.
Yeah, but if you look at the girls, they didn't put a picture on the realtor card in a thong, Robert. That's not the picture they chose.
You know, my past 16 years of real estate, for all my listing appointments or buyer consultations, dress conservatively to the max. But if that were to ever happen, I'm going to assume it's because the wife and I, or we didn't click. You know, and it's unfortunate if she thinks that the husband or her husband or, you know, her partner is looking at me and thinks I'm very attractive. And if that's the reason why they don't hire me, it's unfortunate because, you know, it can happen. I don't know if it's happened to me, but I'm sure it has. But I get it. I think it's more of a click thing. Either she likes you or she doesn't like
That's
you.
what Daniel was saying.
Yeah.
You guys
Just has
click.
that connection or feels comfortable, whatever it may be.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so much like about real estate. It's mind blowing. In my space of helping people with weight loss and nutrition, we have this procedure when I train coaches called information interview, meaning before you become what you want to become, you go interview someone who's done what you want to do. And so some people are watching and listening to this show, and they're interested in becoming a real estate agent. So I want to ask each one of you the question that would help those people. And we'll start with Katie, and then we'll go over to Monique. And the question is, what is it like that you love about being a real estate agent? Like, can you summarize what you love about it?
So I love real estate for a lot of reasons, but it's a lot of problem solving. There's so many different facets, and you just have all this information that you need to put together and make everyone happy. I need to make my clients happy. The other agent needs to make their clients happy. And when it works, it's magical, you know, like the seller's going to make some money. I get to hand my buyer the keys. It's so rewarding. So yeah, it's just enjoyable when all the pieces come together and you see the fruits of your labors. So, and you get invited to the housewarming parties. It's great.
Okay. So at one point in your life, right, when you reflect back to being 12, 13, 14 years old, and you look at what you're doing today, you would say, man, I actually am doing exactly what I wanted to do, or at least I feel like I'm doing what my calling is.
Yeah. So I actually got invited to speak at a school to high school kids about real estate and how it became a career. When I was in high school, I didn't even know this was a job. My parents didn't buy their house until I was, you know, out of the house, and I didn't know this job existed. I think kids now may know it's a job because we have all the TV shows, $1 Million Listing, all that stuff. But yeah, I would love to teach younger kids that this is, you know, it's a good career. And you can do it when you're in college even. I wish I would have got my license when I was in college.
Nice.
I think it's more freedom. When I was working for a 9-to-5 corporate, I would sometimes come in at 6 in the morning and work my butt off and, you know, be that awesome employee. And then I'd come in at 8:05 and I'd get in trouble, right? And then, or if I'd stay late, you know, I wouldn't get really awarded for that, and I still get in trouble as corporate. For real estate, I don't have a boss. My clients are my bosses, but it's my freedom. I can wake up either at 5 in the morning, 6, or 12 noon, or I can work weekends. I work Sundays because I do open houses a lot. They're my hours, but they're mine to own. Nobody, and there's no ceiling. There's no glass ceiling. I'm self-employed, but the beauty about real estate is 1 month could be completely dry, and the next month you could have 4 deals in escrow. So it's exciting. It's never boring. It's spontaneous. It can be random. You could not have no clients for that week, and all of a sudden on Saturday you meet a buyer who wants to buy tomorrow, you know, $1 million house or whatever. So it's always on. You just never know what the next deal is going to happen or when. So
what the next day
it's
is gonna be
exciting.
like, yeah.
It's very exciting.
Wow. I mean, you guys, you're making me want to change careers right now. I'm serious. And time is going extremely fast.
Yeah.
So Daniel and Barbara, I would love for you guys to think about one more question that you could ask our guests. And at the same time, I want you guys to think about how you want to close today. Things that people would benefit from knowing about you. But my question, my final question for today is, there was a movie, and I'm having a hard time thinking of the name of it, but it was a movie that demonstrated what took place in the real estate market, 2007, 2008.
Wolf of Wall Street.
Not the Wolf of Wall Street, the one where
I know which one.
I've watched it many, many times. Daniel, help me out if you can.
Everyone losing their homes.
Well, it was all about, and people became extremely wealthy when you had a lot of people lose a ton of money, right?
Yes.
When the house structure or the homes, everything just went down.
It was when the people were lending money at 100. They were doing jumbo loans or
yeah.
Who's in the movie?
yes.
A whole bunch of really famous
I can't
people.
even.
But anyway,
So-
you guys know what I'm talking about. The big drop or the big bang, not bang, but anyway,
Oh.
it was all about the whole, I've been talking about it, but it's fascinating to watch
I
it
see.
because my concern is, would that ever happen again? Or are we now in a place where people are protected, realtors are protected, there's a systematic way of following rules so that you can't just put anyone in a home
Right.
with these balloon payments that come up in 3
Right.
years
Right.
that causes them to lose their homes.
I don't think it's going to happen again because it was such a tragic time for a lot of people. Lost their homes and it was horrible. But I think people learned from it and they are making sure that never happens again. I mean, prices will drop sometimes and they might stabilize. We're never going to have that bubble burst again, I don't think.
Not in California.
Yeah, it's just one of those things where I know there's a lot of fraud going on. Back a few years ago, 10 years ago, a lot of fraud. People were taking advantage of people that were about to lose their homes. They were trying to do these, save your home and pay me this money and I'll help
Right,
you
yeah, there's a
save
lot
it.
of that going on.
There's a lot of fraud going on. So I just don't see that happening again. I keep reading that everybody's just more stricter with their home loan. You can't just roll over and qualify for a home loan just like
Yeah.
that, like back in the day.
Well, I mean, people went to jail, and lending laws have changed federally because of
Yeah.
that. I mean, the housing market crashed in 2008 because the economy crashed in 2007. So people were making all this money and everything was going good. The financial market crashed. Then people couldn't afford their homes.
Right.
And then they were like, whoa, then their balloon payments were due, and then they couldn't sell their house. It just snowballed. So
Yep.
we learned so much from that, and the lending laws have changed to protect people because it put a lot of people in a really bad situation.
Yeah,
it
it
made a
was-
lot of people really rich too.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of fraud. So it was a whole bad
Yeah, it was-
situation.
Okay, so the people who, it's kind of like when I was a little kid, the way they have liquor stores now, they used to have skating rinks. They were everywhere. And then, it was like a bubble that took place. And then there was like only one skating rink in the whole county, right? And we still have skating rinks, but the ones who stood the test of time were the ones who were the most legit.
Right.
Yeah,
And
that's
so
true.
as I look at you two, you guys are thriving as a real estate agent today. You guys are legit. So you get our stamp of approval.
Thank you.
I don't know if it's worth anything, but hey,
I don't even know if I'm qualified to do anything else. So.
there you go. Okay, Barbara, you have
So I
a
get my
question?
question. Okay, yes. So my question is that, so real estate seems to be it's a personal relationship, right? So you're working with people closely. How do you feel like you've had to change the way you've marketed or your strategy with respect to that now that social media is so powerful, like with Instagram or Facebook? Like, how do you incorporate that part with, working, one-on-one with people? How do you mesh that?
I think social media does help. I can tell you this, when I do more posts about real estate, I do catch some attention from some possible buyers or sellers. That does help, but that hasn't always been my source of business. But it shows that you're working and you're producing, you're being a producer, and that you love what you do and you're passionate, or that you're enjoying what you're doing. But the referrals are past clients and your sphere of influence are truly number one. But social media has been a big help because then it shows that you're busy and that you're not just selling one house a year, or you're not retired from real
Right.
estate. Even.
Or you're current, you're just
Right.
kind of up to
You're
speed.
active.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I think if the realtors out there, I see that they use Instagram a lot to showcase their listings, and social media it's number one now for a lot of realtors to showcase their listings, to talk about themselves as a realtor. I think it's great. It's a great tool to have.
I do too, and I feel like, so when I first got in the business, I did a social media training, and what I learned there is totally different than how I operate now. So
Yeah.
they told us you need to have a business page, you need to keep your family separate, and I chose not to do that. So some of my posts are about my family, some are about vacations, which they say don't post that you're on vacation. People want to see you working. And then I do a lot about real estate too. So I feel like it reminds my friends and family that I still am in this business, And it reminds my past clients, because we do become friends,
Right.
that I am a mom and that I do go on vacation and I do work out, you know, and it makes you a human, and people like to see that. I think
Yeah.
in any business, just humanizing, you know, who you are makes a huge difference.
I like,
Makes you
that's a
more
good
relatable.
perspective. I
Yeah.
like that, because you're right. If I was going to work with a realtor and I didn't know them, I would look at their Facebook. I would look at their Instagram.
Yeah.
And it's nice to work with someone that's happy with their life.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, yeah. Get a glimpse, at least a glimpse.
But if you're
know?
constantly doing shots and you got beer like all around you, and you know what I mean, and you're
Yeah.
just out there, I'm probably gonna call my buddy and go,
Yeah,
dude,
maybe
I
not.
mean, she seemed nice, but have you seen her Facebook photo?
Right. No, that was good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Daniel, DB, what's up?
DB.
Well, one of the interesting things about being in the real estate business is it does not have the average life expectancy that many other occupations have. When I say that, I mean there are realtors that continue in the business well into their 70s with their base of people, and they can work well into their lifetime. With that said, trends and various things and the future has to be taken into consideration. And in the case that I'm going to give you now, I'd like you to answer this question for me. Millennials are your base for the next 20 years. They are going to be the people that are buying majority, particularly first buyers in the real estate business. Millennials traditionally, I'll give an example. They want to be so involved. They have these phones, and they want to call the pizza place, and they want to go online, and they want to say pepperoni on 4 slices, mushrooms on 2, and they push buttons, and they want to make that happen. How is the real estate business, and how are you preparing yourselves now for those types of people that want to be more involved with what goes on in the construction or in that house when they use these smartphones and these devices? How are you preparing yourselves for the future of millennials to be your clients?
Ooh,
So
that's a
I've
good
already
one.
been going through that, because I do notice that they're hands-on, they're very smart. They like to do research first before they even hire an agent. But I'm finding is that a lot of the millennials, they want to do all the work, and when they're ready to hire you for the paperwork, hey, I like this house, show me that house, I like it. Okay, I just need you for the paperwork, because you know, I want to write up the offer. They love to do their home search online. A lot of them, 90%. So I hate to. They're not weeding out realtors. They don't want hand holding as much. They don't want us to show them properties like the old school back in the day.
Yeah.
They love to do things on their own. You're right, Daniel. They're very hands on. They're almost so independent, and they're like, we don't really need you right now. I'll call you when I need you. And that's something I'm seeing. And a lot of listing agents are double ending, because sometimes the millennial goes straight to the listing agent on the internet. You know, so you have that going on too. So it's bad and good to some degree.
Does that mean that your virtual tours and your photography and everything has to be even more comprehensive to service them while they're watching it on their computer?
1,000%.
Yep.
Absolutely. Everything
I would imagine so.
cutting edge.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
You
exactly.
technology.
That's exactly
the
what we
pictures
did.
have to look
The
good.
virtual tour.
Absolutely. Oh yeah.
Well, that was a good question, Daniel.
Yeah.
Every once in a while, you surprise me.
Yeah. So, see, now he gets to slam. I think our last interview, I got to slam. Now he gets to slam. That was a good one.
That was a good one.
Yeah.
And did you want to comment
Yeah,
on that?
I had some thoughts. I feel like we do experience that with millennials. It's so quick. It's so easy for all of us to get exactly what we want
Yeah.
from our phones and our computers so quickly. And these millennials are kind of like the jack of all trades, master of none. We've heard that saying before. So I love meeting people and teaching them about what I do, and them then trusting me as an expert.
Yeah.
You know, because you can go on a site and you can put 4 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, but I could have a 3-bedroom house that has the loft that you guys are going to like, you know, but it's not going to pop up in your search because you had these narrow parameters. So that's where the personal involvement needs to be there. It has to be a person to person. It can't just be a person to computer transaction.
True.
So
Yeah, it seems like millennials are afraid of that human interaction.
Yep.
It's whereas I look at my daughters, which they're Generation Z, right? And I can see they're gonna just be like bionic. You know what I mean? It's like they're literally coming out and growing up with the
Yeah.
screens and this ability to communicate, just different than the millennials.
Yeah.
And I just feel like they're gonna change the world, man,
Yeah.
in a big way.
Very true.
So
Well, your daughters